As the sun rose, casting golden hues across the land, I found the Buddha seated under the banyan tree. His eyes glistened with the serenity of one who understands the nature of all things. I approached him with reverence, my thoughts heavy with the weight of my doubts and insecurities. "Master," I began, bowing low before him, "I am burdened by the fear of failure that resides within my heart." The Buddha, ever compassionate, gestured for me to sit beside him on the cool grass. "Tell me, my child," he said gently, "what is it that you fear most about failure?" I hesitated, my voice trembling as I spoke. "Master, I fear the judgment of others. I fear losing their respect and my sense of self-worth." The Buddha listened intently, his presence a calming balm to my troubled soul. He then reached down, scooping a handful of clay from the earth beneath us. "Observe this clay," the Buddha said, his voice carrying the weight of ancient wisdom. "It is both humble and full of potential." He molded the clay between his fingers, shaping it into a small, imperfect vessel. The clay does not resist when the potter shapes it. It embraces the process of transformation. I watched as he cradled the vessel, his touch light yet purposeful. "When this vessel collapses," he continued, "the clay does not mourn its form. Instead, it becomes ready to try again." He pressed his fingers into the vessel, reshaping it into something new, something more refined. "Master," I asked, my curiosity piqued, "what if the potter loses patience and discards the clay altogether?" The Buddha's eyes sparkled with a hint of a smile. "A true potter," he said, "understands that even discarded clay can find purpose anew." He placed the reshaped vessel on the ground and looked directly into my eyes. "You, too, are like the clay. Each failure is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to become something greater." His words resonated deeply within me, awakening a newfound sense of hope and resilience. "But Master," I continued, "how can I face the fear that paralyzes me before I even attempt to succeed?" The Buddha nodded, acknowledging the complexity of my struggle. "Fear arises from attachment," he explained. "Attachment to outcomes, to perceptions, to a false sense of control." He gestured toward the breeze that rustled the leaves above us. "The wind carries no burden of expectation. It simply flows, adapting to obstacles in its path. Forgive yourself for your fears, doubts, and mistrust, for they are natural companions on this journey," Buddha advised. Then, extend forgiveness outward, not as absolution, but as liberation for the shackles of resentment and bitterness. "Pain is the teacher that guides you toward deeper understanding," he replied. He picked up a small pebble and tossed it into the nearby stream. "See how the ripples spread outward, touching everything in their path?" I nodded, captivated by the simplicity of his demonstration. "Your pain is like the ripples," he continued. Ananda wiped his eyes, feeling a glimmer of relief in the presence of the Buddha's clarity and compassion. "Blessed one, your words have given me courage to face my pain and begin mending my heart," Ananda said. He then leaned closer, his voice lowering to a near whisper. "Shame arises when you confuse your actions with your essence," he said. "You are not your failures." The weight of his words settled over me, a profound truth I had not considered before. "Master," I said, "how can I ensure that my failures serve to strengthen me rather than diminish me?" The Buddha smiled, a gentle warmth radiating from his being. "By embracing failure as a necessary step on your journey," he said, "you transform it into wisdom." He rose to his feet, motioning for me to follow. We walked together to a nearby grove, where a potter worked diligently at his wheel. The Buddha looked upon Ananda with calm understanding, his eyes reflecting the depths of compassion and infinite wisdom. "Ananda, trust is like a mirror. Its clarity reflects the truth, but smudges can obscure its surface," Buddha said. He simply gathered the clay and began again, his patience unwavering. The Buddha turned to me, his eyes alight with understanding. If you see a blemish, do you shatter the mirror? Or do you wipe it clean with deliberate care? He asked. To restore trust, you must hold a mirror to your heart and see clearly what clouds its reflection, Buddha continued. Each collapse is not a defeat but a step toward mastery, the Buddha continued. As we watched the potter, I felt my fear begin to loosen its grip on my heart. I saw in the clay a reflection of my own potential, my own ability to rise anew. Master, I said, I think I understand now. Failure is not the end but the beginning of wisdom. The Buddha placed a hand on my shoulder, his touch filled with reassurance. Wisdom is born from the courage to face your fears, he said, and the humility to learn from your mistakes. His words illuminated my path, a beacon of hope and guidance in the darkness of my doubts. As the day waned, the Buddha and I returned to the banyan tree, where his disciples awaited him. I felt a renewed sense of purpose, a strength I had not known before. Do not fear the labor, for each effort reveals the strength within you and the clarity of your intentions. Ananda closed his eyes, reflecting on the metaphor of the mirror and the spring, feeling their resonance deeply. The journey ahead would not be easy, but I now understood that each step, no matter how fraught with challenges, was an essential part of my growth. Another day, as the sun filtered through the thick canopy of trees, the Buddha sat near a tranquil pond. His presence was serene, exuding a sense of peace that invited all who approached. A merchant, disheveled and sorrowful, came forward, bowing deeply before the Buddha. Master, he began, his voice laden with despair. I am a failure. My business has collapsed, and I have lost everything. There was once a young woman who cultivated a beautiful garden, full of vibrant flowers and flourishing plants, he began. One day, a neighbor admired her garden and offered her a sapling, promising it would bear sweet, nourishing fruit. I have lost my wealth, my reputation, and the trust of those who depended on me, he replied. The Buddha, ever patient, motioned toward the pond. There is something hidden within this pond, he said. Go and bring me the most valuable thing you find. The merchant hesitated, confused by the request, but he obeyed, wading cautiously into the murky water. As he searched, his feet sank into the muddy bottom, and his hands sifted through the muck. His frustration grew with each passing moment. Finally, his fingers touched something smooth and solid. Pulling it from the mud, he found a radiant jewel that sparkled in the sunlight. The merchant returned to the Buddha, holding the jewel with a mix of awe and disbelief. Master, I have found this, he said, presenting the jewel with trembling hands. The Buddha accepted it, his expression calm yet meaningful. Walk this path with care, and let the light of your intentions guide you toward the purity of renewed trust. The disciples bowed deeply, the weight of the Buddha's words settling into their hearts as a lasting lesson. What does this mean, Master? He asked earnestly. The Buddha held the jewel up, letting the sunlight dance upon its surface. Your failures, he explained, are like the mud that obscured this jewel. They may surround you, but they do not define you. Blessed One, I have looked within and observed others with care. Yet trust still feels fragile and incomplete, Ananda said. The Buddha listened patiently, his presence a calming balm to the restless heart of his earnest disciple. Ananda, trust is a journey, not an object. It evolves through practice, like the muscles of a craftsman, Buddha said. The disciples gathered silently, their anticipation heavy with the reverence they held for the Blessed One's teachings. The merchant's eyes filled with tears as he grasped the significance of the Buddha's teaching. Master, he said, his voice trembling, how can I rise above the shame that clings to me like the mud? The Buddha smiled, his expression kind yet resolute. Shame is a reflection of attachment to the image you wish to present to the world, he said. Let go of this attachment, and you will find freedom. He gestured toward the pond once more. The water, though muddy, remains a source of life and renewal. Instead of despairing, he unraveled the fabric to its beginning and started anew. Weaving with even greater intention, Buddha explained, Ananda, trust is like the weaver's fabric. When it frays, it must be rewoven with deliberate care and steady hands. Failure is a mirror, he said, reflecting the areas where growth is needed, where wisdom can take root. He picked up a small pebble and tossed it into the pond. See how the ripples spread outward, touching everything in their path? The merchant watched, entranced by the simplicity of the demonstration. Each failure, the Buddha continued, creates ripples of understanding, shaping your character and deepening your compassion for others. The Buddha smiled, appreciating Ananda's unwavering curiosity and his desire to seek understanding in its fullest form. Ananda, to nurture trust, you must embrace kindness, not as a fleeting gesture but as a foundation of relationships, Buddha said. They walked together along a path lined with blooming lotus flowers. The Buddha paused, pointing to a lotus that emerged pristine from the muddy waters below. The lotus, he said, is a symbol of resilience and renewal. It thrives not despite the mud, but because of it. One season, a great famine struck, and the villagers came to him, desperate for the grain he had saved. He distributed the grain fairly, refusing greed or waste, ensuring that no one starved, yet preserving enough to sow again. His words resonated deeply, igniting a spark of hope within the merchant. As they continued their walk, the Buddha shared a parable. There was once a man, he began, who carried a heavy burden upon his back. He believed it to be the source of his suffering, yet he refused to set it down. The merchant listened intently, his steps growing lighter with each word. When the man finally released his burden, the Buddha said, he discovered that the strength he had gained from carrying it was his true treasure. The merchant paused, reflecting on the parable. Master, he said, I see now that my failures are not burdens but stepping stones toward greater understanding. The Buddha's words hung in the air, their truth resonating deeply within the hearts of Ananda and the gathered disciples. Blessed One, your teachings are a lantern in the darkness, guiding my steps toward trust and the peace it brings, Ananda said. They returned to the pond, where the water now seemed clearer, reflecting the blue sky above. The merchant bowed deeply before the Buddha, his heart filled with gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts carrying the Buddha's wisdom like seeds scattered to fertile ground. Ready to grow, the Bodhi tree stood tall, its branches swaying gently, as if in agreement with the profound teachings shared beneath its shade. Remember, he said, the jewel within you shines brightest when polished by the trials of life. His words echoed in the merchant's heart as he began to see his path with newfound clarity. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video. The Buddha, ever serene, watched the merchant depart, his teachings a source of light for all who sought his wisdom. And so, the lesson of the jewel in the mud became a timeless reminder of the transformative power of failure. Another day, as the village lay quiet under a gray sky, the Buddha walked along a path of ash. A faint smell of smoke lingered in the air, a reminder of a devastating fire that had consumed much of the village. Among the survivors, an aged woman sat weeping near the charred remains of her home. The Buddha approached her, his gaze gentle and his presence calming. Why do you weep, my child? He asked softly. The woman looked up, her face streaked with tears. Master, I have lost everything. My home, my memories, all turned to ash. I am left with nothing. The Buddha knelt beside her, his robes brushing against the sooty ground. Loss is a heavy burden to bear, he acknowledged. yet it carries within it the seeds of renewal. The woman shook her head, her sorrow deep and consuming. Master, how can anything grow from ashes? She asked despairingly. The Buddha traced a symbol in the ashes with his finger. A phoenix with wings outstretched. Do you know this bird? He asked, his voice calm and steady. The woman nodded, her curiosity piqued. It is the phoenix, which rises anew from its ashes, reborn and renewed. Indeed, the Buddha said, his tone imbued with compassion. Your life is like the phoenix. From destruction, the possibility of rebirth arises. The woman stared at the symbol, her tears slowing as she considered his words. But Master, she said, how can I begin again when my strength has been consumed by grief? The Buddha gestured toward a nearby tree, its branches laden with fresh blossoms. This tree once stood bare through the winter, its strength hidden deep within. Yet, when spring arrived, it bloomed again. The woman observed the tree, its blossoms a stark contrast to the desolation around her. Your strength, the Buddha continued, is like the roots of this tree, unseen but resilient, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Anand, the greatest way to teach mindfulness is through your own example. When you embody calm and awareness, others will be drawn to your presence. In these ashes lies the memory of what once was, and the potential of what can be. He let the ashes fall slowly to the ground, their descent soft and deliberate. Your grief honors what you have lost, but it need not define what you will become. The woman nodded, her heart stirring with the first signs of understanding. Master, she asked, how can I ensure that my rebirth will honor the life I have lost? The Buddha's eyes sparkled with wisdom as he answered, by carrying forward the lessons of your loss and using them to cultivate compassion and resilience. He stood and offered his hand to the woman, helping her to her feet. Walk with me, he said, leading her along the path that wound through the village. They passed others who were rebuilding their homes, their hands steady despite the destruction around them. Do you see how they labor with hope in their hearts? The Buddha asked. Each act of rebuilding is a testament to their courage. The woman observed the villagers, their efforts a living embodiment of the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha paused by a small shrine that had miraculously survived the fire. Its surface was scorched, but the statue of the Buddha within remained intact, even in the midst of devastation. Some things endure, he said, his voice filled with reverence. The woman bowed her head, the truth of his words sinking in. Master, she said, I wish to find within myself the strength to endure and to rise again. The Buddha smiled, his expression one of quiet encouragement. Strength comes not from avoiding sorrow, but from embracing it and allowing it to transform you. They continued walking until they reached a field where new shoots of grass were beginning to emerge. The sight filled the woman with a sense of possibility. Life returns. Even here, she said, her voice tinged with awe. The Buddha knelt and touched the tender shoots. These blades of grass remind us that even the smallest signs of renewal hold great significance. He said. The woman knelt beside him, her fingers brushing the grass, a smile beginning to form on her lips. Master, she said, I see now that my life, like this field, can begin to grow anew. The Buddha placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch reassuring and steady. Each step you take toward renewal is a step toward wisdom and compassion. As the day turned to evening, the woman returned to her village with a newfound sense of purpose. She began helping others rebuild, her actions reflecting the teachings of the Buddha. The phoenix etched in the ashes lingered in her mind, a symbol of hope and resilience. The Buddha watched from a distance, his heart filled with quiet joy as he witnessed the woman embrace her journey. Through her loss, she had found the strength to rise, embodying the wisdom of the phoenix. And so, the lesson of the phoenix in the ashes became a timeless teaching. A reminder that from destruction, renewal is always possible. Cultivate mindfulness by reflecting on the transient nature of all things. Not to create emptiness, but to create spaciousness within. In that space, peace and compassion can flourish. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.